Hey, I'm NichBoy and welcome to Pocket for Thursday, the 11th of February. Today on the show, Gameflix, Yooka Laylee, and robots will be our rulers. Alright, here's what's been making headlines. Dr. Dave Ranyard, head of Sony's London studio, is leaving the company. In recent years, the studio has been in charge of creating the flagship PlayStation VR experiences such as The London Heist and The Deep. Ranyard has been with Sony for 17 years and was involved in projects like SingStar, iToy, and Wonderbook. In a press release, Ranyard said, 2016 is going to be the year of VR, so it's the perfect time for me to take this step into independent development. The emergence of a new medium like VR doesn't come along very often, and I really want to be part of this new world. Sonic the Hedgehog will be starring in his first feature film in 2018, and it's going to be a mix of live action and animation. Now, there's no official footage yet, but we have put in some placeholder clips to give you an idea of what it might look like. The film will be produced by Sony Pictures in partnership with the Sega Sammy Group. Sega's chief executive, Hajime Sato, said, "We would like to expand our business into other entertainment areas beyond what we are currently involved." I promise you, that is better than what the movie will be. Firewatch is reportedly suffering from frame rate issues on PS4. According to developer Campo Santo, they are working literally around the clock to address the issues that some people are having. One of the developers, Sean Vanneman, jumped onto Reddit to address player concerns, and while he was there, he stated that there was a patch already on the way for PS4, they're just waiting on SCEA certification. And there'll be a couple more games on your digital shelves shortly. Telltale has finally revealed the launch date for their miniseries The Walking Dead Michonne. The first episode in the three-part adventure will be out on the 23rd of February, and the following day, February 24th, the Flame in the Flood will be ascending from the limbo of Steam's early access and will be launching for realsies. I'm joined now by Fancy Joe to discuss our final news story.
Hi.
So nice.
Thank you.
The team behind Yooka Laylee, Platonic, are celebrating their first birthday. To celebrate, they announced the newest members of their team and dropped a GIF of one of their new game characters, Kartos the Minecart, as well as releasing a piece of music associated with that character. Fancy Joe, are you excited about Yooka Laylee?
Absolutely. I mean, Banjo-Kazooie is just hands down one of the best platformers ever made. And still to this day, if you haven't played it, go play it. It holds up so well, so if they're making anything, if it's 90% of that, even like 60% of that will be pretty good.
So they released some music to go along with this as well. John will play it now, underneath us while we talk, and it is just the most reminiscent of that era of platformer. Like it makes me feel as though I'm a kid with sticky fingers holding like an N64 controller.
Super nostalgic. I remember when I played through Banjo-Kazooie, I had like a printout because, the internet was hard to access next to my 64 and it just had all the locations of all the Jinjos and stuff.
Yeah.
And I just sit there for 400 hours trying to finish the game.
And you're like 100%. Scratching things out when it's done. And no, I'm super excited by this, particularly because the 3D platformer, I mean, it hasn't really died off, but there have been less and less of them over time. The biggest one I can think of currently is Ratchet & Clank. But Ratchet & Clank never really gelled for me.
I was never a big Ratchet man. They look like fun, I just never got into them.
Yeah, same, and every time I try to play it, just something doesn't grab me about it, whereas everything about Yooka Laylee is playing on my nostalgia. And I know how manipulative you're trying to be by doing that, but I think I'm okay with being manipulative.
Yeah, I feel like the platformers have gone away from the 64 golden era where it was kind of open world, big hubs.
Yep.
Like I loved that, just exploring these awesome levels and everything felt really interconnected in an interesting way. And now it kind of just feels like self-contained levels.
Just like chunks of levels flying across a universe, that sort of thing. Yeah, exactly. And they did bring on some new employees as well. So they've got 2 new employees who are ex-Rare. These guys worked on Banjo-Kazooie and Perfect Dark. And they got a 3rd employee, Hamish Lockwood, who is an Australian. So congratulations, Hamish. And I feel like we now own the game.
Yeah, it's us.
Yeah.
It's an Aussie-made game.
All right, so pumped for that game. All right, it's now time for Thing of the Day. Thing of the Day.
Nice.
A German robot going by the name of Sub1 solved a Rubik's Cube in 0.887 seconds, becoming the first robot to break the 1 second mark. The effort is currently being investigated by Guinness World Records for approval. Thing of the Day.
Nice.
And while sure that robot is impressive, I feel like my hairy edit monkey could probably solve a Rubik's Cube faster. John, are you ready to break a world record?
No.
All right. Ready, set, go. You failed. All right, well, we'll see how he does by the end of the episode. Moving on now, and it's talk through time, where you suggest a topic, and we talk through it, while John fails spectacularly behind us. Today's talk through comes in from the Soul Hunter, who says, do you think a Netflix version for video games could or would work, pretending it's the year 2295 and the NBN has been finished, which I doubt even by then it will be here. Joseph, what do you reckon?
Well, I mean, it already does and does work.
Yes.
In America, where you haven't got it at the moment, but they've got PlayStation Now. On Live existed for a little while.
Yep.
So the technology's there. Basically, you just need a controller and some kind of internet-connected device, and you can just stream the games from somewhere else. So they've got the consoles on a massive server, and you're just playing over the internet. I think it's, give it a decade and it'll be pretty prevalent.
Yeah, I feel like the biggest thing is the compression and the latency. Those are the two things that you need to figure out. And obviously, if we're jumping a serious amount of time in the future, yes, completely. But I also think, maybe 10 years' time, that probably will be where we're headed with video games anyway. I feel like on Live, I was so excited by the idea of that, and then it came out, and it just felt like it was a tiny bit too early for its time. It hadn't completely nailed it,
and we also never got it.
And we never got it.
I kept waiting. I was like, when's it coming out in Australia? And that never happened.
And even if you did have it in the US, they were saying like you need to be 1,000 miles or less away from one of the data centers that they're using to get decent results.
They have to deal with the speed of light, basically. When you press a button, it has to go there, hit the input, register, come back to you compressed on your TV. Like that all has to happen in the blink of an eye, as you would expect a game to happen.
Yeah, and speaking of the speed of light, let's just check in on how John's going. What have we got here? 141 seconds, John. So you've failed.
A bit of a blue side going.
Yeah, you've gone 146 times longer than the robot. Sony have PlayStation Now. I like what they're doing there. Again, not something that we can access, but they have access to their back catalogue of PlayStation 3 games. They want to expand it to PlayStation 1 and 2 and possibly PS4 stuff as well. I think the big thing for me with this kind of service is that Spotify, Apple Music, Netflix, these are services that I use.
Yep.
If I want to listen to music, that's the only way I listen to music. And Netflix is kind of the only way that I watch like a lot of my TV. Streaming games is not the only way that I do that right now.
Yeah.
And so to have a service that offers old games that I would play, I go, well, I might only be getting through 1 or 2 of those a month.
It just depends on what the service offers, though. I mean, they need to hit that Netflix style where you go, I'm happy to give you $10, and then you just got a catalog of stuff that you can play some new stuff. They'll drop some exclusive stuff. It just needs to be an enticing offer, and then people will jump on board, I think.
My concern with that is I wonder whether or not developers and publishers what kind of business model you need to figure out for that, because like Spotify pays per time that song has been listened to, so you pay out a royalty for someone having listened to that, whereas if you're only playing a couple of games a month, like you're not getting the mass amount of people playing stuff to pay out royalties like that, so maybe you need to pay an upfront fee, which requires like a huge amount of capital like to begin with to buy the rights.
Or maybe just be different, levels where it's $10 and you get kind of PS3 older games, and then if you want the newer stuff, that's more like a $30 a month kind of thing, and then you've got access to the AAA games. Or maybe it's just, you can just buy games outright, but you are just streaming them. Yeah,
and I do think, like, I would love this sort of service to exist, and the other thing which it would change is if you went any device that's connected to the internet that has a screen can be a gaming platform, then what does that do to like the entire mobile games market? Like if my phone can play pretty much everything that my computer can with a controller, am I going to be playing Clash of Clans anymore?
Probably, to be honest.
Well, that's just because you're obsessed with
No, just because I think, you don't really want to be playing Fallout 4 on a little thing. You would still want a controller, and I just feel like those games sit well at home in a proper environment, whereas on your mobile phone, out on the bus, it's probably not quite right. I mean, you might try it a few times and go,
yeah. Some it's cool that I can do this, but it's not necessarily
maybe something like The Witness would work really well in that situation, where it's a bit slower and you can just solve a few puzzles. But I guess what's really going to be interesting is to see how the internet affects the hardware market, because if streaming stuff like this becomes the norm, then we're not going to have Xbox consoles and PS4 consoles. There's just going to be Xbox services and PS4 services or whatever. I think they want to move that way because they actually sell their hardware at a loss. I think Nintendo's the only one who ever makes any profit off it. So they can be a service, they're going to want to move that way.
And the thing about making that switch is that at that point, it can't just be that Australia has the NBN and internet to support it and we're good to go. It's every country in the world who plays video games needs to have the infrastructure to support streaming. Otherwise, they're just going to lose a ton of money.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think by $22.95 we'll get there.
Hopefully.
Maybe.
If we haven't, then I think that we should just let the Rubik's Cube robots take over. And speaking of, John, how are you going there?
Almost got aside.
Utterly failed.
So close.
Utterly failed. All right, this is a damning look at humanity and our ability to bring the internet. All right, that's it for the talk through. Thank you very much, the Soul Hunter, for your suggestion. If you have a talk through topic for tomorrow, let us know in the comments. And while you're there, let us know what you think about the idea of a streaming Netflix style service. Is that something that you would want to sign up to? And stay on the internet and check out Good Game on Facebook, YouTube, and iView. Want to meet fellow Pocketeers? Then join the Pocketeers Facebook group and Steam group. You can follow Good Game on Twitter at Good Game TV. Follow Pocket at NichBoy, at Pierreth, and at GG Edit Monkey. He is not on Twitter, but he does have a very nice shirt. And there are links to everything I just said in the description below. Today's Thing of the Day graphic was sent in by Roblo Staple. Thank you, Roblo. I enjoyed your work in the West Wing. Until tomorrow, Nick, bye out.
GOG out.
Couldn't even get one side. You know what you should do? You should just peel off all the stickers and then you just put them on. That's how I solved Rubik's Cube when I was a kid.
You can get apps now that solve it for you.
Yeah, you can get robots that solve it for you.
Obviously.